Hello, it's nice to meet you. I am Emma Martins. I am a child and youth care worker. Thank you so much for having me. The fundamental pillars and core activities are rooted in these 5 key pillars of CYC practice: relational practice, developmentally informed care, ecological and cultural responsiveness, strength-based and resilience-oriented approaches, trauma-informed and anti-oppressive practice, addressing adverse childhood experiences, systemic inequalities, and intergenerational trauma to foster healing and equity. I would contribute to the school community by leveraging my expertise in trauma-informed intervention, culturally responsive care, and strength-based programming. Specifically, my contributions would include individual and group support, addressing social, emotional, and behavioral challenges with developmentally and culturally appropriate interventions, social emotional learning, and healing-centered activities, integrating Indigenous teachings, mindfulness, expressive arts. I currently use Zoom as a site for social emotional learning, resources to foster self, awareness, and emotional regulation in the classroom. Crisis intervention and de-escalation, using trauma-informed, nonviolent crisis intervention and restorative justice approaches to support students in distress. Advocacy for equity and inclusion, challenging systemic barriers and promoting accommodations, mental health resources, and LGBTQ+ support, such as leading the Gay Straight Alliance Club. Collaboration with staff and families, partnering with educators, social workers, Indigenous elders, and caregivers to develop holistic, student-centered plans. Healing and restorative practices, drawing from Michael Burns' Healing Spaces Manual to create safe spaces for self-regulation, storytelling, and relational healing, which was a course textbook I enjoy utilizing in my field of work. I ensure that my practice aligns with the highest professional and ethical standards by adhering to evidence-based frameworks, ethical guidelines, and culturally safe practices. Specifically, I uphold the ethical guidelines of the Ontario Association of Child and Youth Care. I follow the OACYC Code of Ethics, which emphasizes relational integrity, professional accountability, and respect for cultural diversity. That does include duty to report as well. Anti-oppressive and culturally responsive practice, addressing systemic barriers, colonial impacts, and racial inequalities, while continuously learning about decolonization, Indigenous knowledge, and intersectionality. Lifelong learning and reflexivity. Evidence-based and culturally rooted approaches, integrating Indigenous healing models and youth-centered therapeutic practices for holistic, effective support. Strong advocacy for ethical and inclusive policies. I believe advocacy is a critical component of ethical practice. I actively work to address systemic barriers, promote youth rights, and ensure that school policies reflect equity, diversity, and inclusion, all by utilizing the resources at my fingertips. Thank you so much for this opportunity and your time.